Hey third grade, I'm making this video to show you how we're going to create our clay pencil holders together. I hope you learned a lot from the video that I just showed you. We are going to be using slip, score, we're going to be making slabs, you're going to learn to squish together everything you make. And first, I want to go over the tools that we're going to use. So we're going to use a rolling pin, a fork, a cutting tool. You'll have a cup of water, and you notice I also have a canvas sheet under me. Please try to work on this sheet the most you can, just to minimize the amount of dirt we get on our tables. So you'll start with this cube of clay that I give you, and we're going to be using templates today to guide us in making these. It's important to use the templates because it will help you have the right amount of clay, the right amount of thickness for this project. So first we need to create a slab with this clay that we have. So you're going to set it on top of the template rectangle that I give you. This will be the wall of your ceramic pencil holder. So I like to use my rolling pin, and just, if it helps you to stand when you do this, I recommend doing that. It really does help me. You're going to start gently rolling out your slab. Move it around as you need to. It'll help you get some leverage and help you out a little bit. So you want to cover the entire pink rectangle template to ensure that it's tall enough and thick enough. Now you don't have to have it perfect, but you want to try to get the thickness even. Once you have filled out the whole entire rectangle, you can gently pick it up, flip it over, and you'll notice that I have it filled out. Here's about the thickness that I have, and it's pretty much even. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it too thick or it will probably have air pockets in it, which will make it explode when we put it in our kiln. And you don't want it too thin or it will fall apart while you're creating it today, and even perhaps after it's fired. So this part's fun. You get to cut out the rectangle shape that you made. Peel this off. Please don't crumble this up or anything. Just set it to the side because I will use them for the other class. So your slab will look something like this. Try to get it as even as you can for the thickness, like I said before. I don't recommend picking it up like this. I just have a lot of practice, so it's easy for me, but you'll pick it up gently, 2 hands, set it aside, and then with the excess clay that you had from before, you can ball it up and we'll create the base of our pencil holder together. So you want to use your hands to make this into a ball and just wedge it a little bit to get the air pockets out. Wedging is pushing the clay into the table, onto the clay mat, and it just pushes all of that air out. It's kind of harder to do with a little amount of clay, but just a little bit helps. And then you want to mush it in your hands into some kind of ball. I like to pat it in my hands like this a little bit just to make sure it's nice and compacted. So I'm going to set it down, take your roller, and gently roll it out like this. If you press too hard, this will happen. You'll break it off. It's over the clay. You don't want to do that. So just be sure you're just doing it gently with a little bit of pressure. You're going to put the base circle that I give you on top of this. I like to lightly outline it first before I cut all the way. It just is easier for me. However is easiest for you is great. And then I like to go in and use this. The thickness of the base should be similar to the thickness of your slab, maybe a tiny bit thicker. Perfect. So now we get to do the slip and the score because we need to connect this to this. Any extra clay you have, put it in a ball. Don't play with it too much because again, it dries out a lot if you do. Set it to the side. You may use it for some decorations on your pencil holder at the end, but any extra I need you to return to me because I will recycle it. So we're going to slip and score like we saw in the video, and it's going to look something like this. So you're gonna hold this circle, go one direction, and cut the side, not up here or on the back, just like this. And also, very important before I forget, please write your name on the back of this, on the bottom of your cup, so we know who you are. All right, Miss P. You can use a pencil, it's a little easier to write too if you do that. Use a pencil. Now you're gonna choose one side here to score. So I'm gonna go on this side, go one direction, go another, and it should look kind of like a messy checkerboard or something like that. Now, in order for this to work, we need slip, which means water. So we're gonna take this and wet down that part as well as the bottom of the cup, like this, or the pencil holder like that. If we smooth out the cross-hatching we did, the scoring, you can just do it again. So take this, bring it up, you're gonna move this in the center, and we're going to fold, bring this around the clay circle we created. If you look inside, you can see it's not attached, and we're gonna use our finger to smooth that out. We wanna make sure it's nice and smooth, and it looks like the bottom is connected to the walls. I'll show you a little closer, okay? So we also need to slip and score these parts together. So on the inside, or the outside I mean, of one, you're gonna do this, just like you did before. And then on the inside of another, do this, because we will overlap them. You need water, of course, for the slip. You're gonna just wet it down a little bit and fold it over like this. You can tap it down, and this is the squishing part. So you're gonna take your finger and squish it over. Don't do this quickly. I like to put my hand in the pencil holder to help me, but don't do it quickly, because you need to go gentle or you'll pierce through the side of your cup. So just go nice and slow. Use some water to help you, but if you use too much water, you'll make your cup too flimsy. It'll become like a soup and it will ruin it. So just use a little bit of water at a time. You want to really smooth it out, make it nice, so you can barely even see where that seam was. You also want to try to smooth the seam in the middle, which is a little bit more difficult, but it is doable. You can use the tool to help you out too, to reach down farther if you can't quite get your hand in there. And just smooth it out so you can't really see that seam anymore. Now I have a little bit of a taller edge right here, so I'm just going to take my tool, cut that part off, and I have a pretty good looking cylinder now. Cut off any extra one. Now, once you have this, you're going to want to gently flip it over, and you can see this isn't squished yet. So you need to take your finger and swish it over. If you did not write your name and you forgot, this is a good time to do it. Just gently with the pencil, I would recommend. So smooth it out. And when I do this, I can kind of see it caves in the bottom. So sometimes I like to set it down, take the rolling pin, and just pound it down a little bit. This also helps make sure that there aren't any air bubbles in the bottom. Okay, so my cylinder's looking great. My name's on it. It is, I want you to really pay attention to the thickness. It's not too thin. I'll show you kind of what would be too thin. Sometimes people make things like this thin. Look how easy that breaks. You don't want that. You want it to be thick enough. So now there are some options you can do for decoration. You can do sgraffito, which means you're cutting into the wall of the clay. Obviously not too deep or you would ruin the cup. But you could cut in like that, smiley face. Let's say you don't like what you did. Use some water, smooth it out. And it's like it never even happened. But don't do it too much or you'll probably ruin the wall of your clay. But you can do it every once in a while. I like to do this where with the extra clay I have, you can create decorations that you can adhere to the side. So let's say I wanted to add a heart. I'll do a heart because it's kind of simple, and for the video purpose it's quick. So you don't want this to be too thick or it will explode in the kiln or fall off your cup. They need to be really well slipped and scored on and thin enough. That's really important. So I'm gonna take this, kind of form a heart I like, or any shape you like. You could do your name, you could do a smiley face, a flower. There's a lot of different things you could do. I'm gonna do this, and I need to slip and score it onto my cup. So on the back of my heart, do that. Where I want to put it, slip and score like that. I need water, and if it takes away those scoring marks, just do that again. Take this, and I kind of like to just like wiggle it on at first, set it down, and you're going to do a little bit of just tapping it to adhere it, and you can smooth it out a little bit. Okay, so it'll look like this. Then you can take your tool, smooth it onto the surface. You can kind of smooth some of the sides down to make sure it's really stuck on there. If you push too hard, you're going to poke through your cup. So try really hard not to do that. If you have any cracks, water will help you. You can always just smooth them out with your finger. I want you to work really hard on just making it nice and smooth, but do not use too much water, okay? All right, so you could add a few hearts, you could carve into your cup, whatever you like to do. Once you have this, you'll be able to, we'll fire it, we'll paint it, and you'll have a nice little pencil holder to put your stuff in. So, thank you for paying attention and listening closely. I'm excited to see what you make next time we do clay together. Bye.